Have you ever said something in anger that you immediately regretted? Or reacted so quickly to a situation that you made it worse instead of better? Today, I would like to share with you an ancient Buddhist teaching that has the power to profoundly transform how you respond to life's challenges. It's called the art of the mindful pause, and it is the most practical spiritual tool you never knew you needed. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome to Buddha Coha, where we explore timeless Buddhist wisdom for modern living. Please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It truly helps us share these healing teachings with more people who need them. Part 1, The Ancient Teaching, the Buddha's Lesson on Right Speech. Let me take you back over 2,500 years to ancient India, where the Buddha was teaching his disciples in a peaceful grove. One day, a young monk named Channa came running to the Buddha, his face red with anger and frustration. "Master," Channa said, his voice shaking, "Brother Devdatta has been mean to me in front of the other monks. He said I was wasting my time and would never become enlightened. I want to go and argue with him right away and tell him what he did." The Buddha looked at Channa with deep compassion and said softly, "My dear Channa, come and sit beside me. Before you speak to your brother, let's first look inside you and see what you're feeling." Channa sat down, still breathing hard from his anger. The Buddha continued, "When someone says something that makes us upset, we have three choices. We can react right away, like a leaf caught in a strong wind. We can try to hide our feelings, like pushing a stone under water, it will come back with more force. Or..." The Buddha paused, letting the silence fill the space like morning dew. "Or we can choose the middle path, the path of being mindful. We can stop, breathe, and see what's happening inside us without letting it control us." The Buddha then taught Channa about right speech, one of the most important teachings in the Noble Eightfold Path. "Before you speak," the Buddha said, "ask yourself three questions. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And most importantly, am I speaking from wisdom or anger, hurt or ego?" Channa closed his eyes and took deep breaths. As he sat in silence, watching his anger like clouds passing over the sky of his mind, something happened. The heat of his anger began to cool. The strong need to defend himself started to fade. After a few minutes, Channa opened his eyes and asked, "Master, I still feel hurt by what he said, but I don't want to hurt him back. What has changed?" The Buddha smiled. "You have found the space between what happens and how you respond. In that space, you have the freedom to choose wisdom over anger, compassion over revenge, and peace over the endless cycle of conflict." Part 2, Modern-Day Reflection, Sarah's Story at the Office. Now, let me share a story that happened just last week. Sarah, a marketing manager in downtown Seattle, was having one of those days we all know too well. She had been working late for 3 weeks on a big presentation, giving up her evenings and weekends. On Tuesday morning, she walked into the conference room ready to present to the executive team. But as she opened her laptop, her colleague Mark, someone she had helped train just 6 months ago, was already presenting her ideas. Her slides. Her research. Her 3 weeks of hard work. Sarah's heart started to race. Her face turned red. Every part of her body wanted to fight. She felt that familiar rush of anger, the same feeling as when you get cut off in traffic or when someone takes credit for your work or when you feel deeply disrespected. Her first thought: stand up and shout. Call him out. Demand justice. Protect her reputation. The old Sarah would have done exactly that, spoken from the place of raw, angry hurt. But here's what's beautiful about this story. Sarah had been listening to teachings like this one for the past few months. Not because she was spiritual, but because her therapist had suggested meditation to help with her work stress. And in that moment of intense anger, something special happened. She remembered the space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting, Sarah took a breath. Then another. She felt her feet on the floor and her back against the chair. She watched her anger like a scientist watching something new. This is how anger feels in my body, she noticed. This is how my mind races when I feel betrayed. She asked herself the Buddha's 3 questions. If I speak now, will it be true? Yes, Mark took my work. Will it be kind? Probably not, I want to hurt him. Is it necessary right now? Maybe, but not like this. Instead of speaking from anger, Sarah chose to pause. She let Mark finish his presentation. She watched him struggle through parts he clearly didn't understand, her research he had copied but not learned. After the meeting, instead of shouting at Mark, Sarah asked for a private conversation with him and their boss. She brought her original files, her notes, and her email timestamps. She spoke calmly, clearly, and without blaming him. The result? Mark apologized and publicly thanked Sarah in the next meeting. Their boss, impressed by her calmness, asked her to lead the whole campaign. And Sarah? She found something more important than winning a workplace battle. She found the power to choose how she responds to life's challenges. Remember to subscribe to Buddha Coha if this story speaks to you. We share more like this every week to help you find peace in life's storms. Part 3: The Science Behind Buddhist Wisdom, Understanding Your Mind. What Sarah experienced isn't just ancient wisdom, it's backed by modern neuroscience. When we're triggered, our amygdala, the brain's alarm system, floods our body with stress hormones in just 90 seconds. But here's what's fascinating: if we don't feed that initial emotional fire with more thoughts, more stories, more "how dare they" narratives, the chemical response naturally subsides. The Buddha called this letting the muddy water settle. When we stir muddy water, it stays cloudy. But when we stop stirring and simply wait, the dirt settles naturally, and the water becomes clear again. This is why the mindful pause is so powerful. It's not about suppressing our emotions or pretending we're not hurt. It's about creating space between what happens to us and how we choose to respond. In that space, even if it's just 3 conscious breaths, we can access our wisdom rather than just our reactivity. The Buddhist texts describe 4 types of responses to conflict. First, there's the immediate reaction, like Channa's initial impulse to confront his fellow monk. This usually escalates the situation and often creates more suffering for everyone involved. Second, there's suppression, pretending we're not affected, stuffing our feelings down. This might seem peaceful on the surface, but it often leads to passive aggression, resentment, or eventual explosion. Third, there's the endless mental loop, replaying the incident, imagining conversations, building up our case. This keeps us trapped in suffering long after the original trigger has passed. But fourth, and this is the Buddha's invitation, there's the path of mindful response. We acknowledge what we're feeling without being controlled by it. We choose our actions based on wisdom rather than impulse. Think about the last time someone cut you off in traffic. In that moment, you had the same choice Sarah had, the same choice Channa had. You could honk angrily, tailgate them, let it ruin your entire drive, feeding the anger and probably making their day worse too. Or you could pause, breathe, and recognize that this stranger's driving has nothing to do with your worth as a person. Maybe they're having an emergency. Maybe they're distracted by personal pain. Maybe they simply didn't see you. In any case, your anger doesn't change their driving, but it changes your inner peace. Part 4. Practical application, your daily practice. So how do we cultivate this mindful pause in our daily lives? The Buddha taught what he called the 4 gates of speech, a simple practice you can start using today. Gate 1, the truth gate. Before speaking, especially when you're emotional, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say true? Not your interpretation, not your assumption, but verifiably true. So often, our anger is based on stories we've created rather than facts. Gate 2, the kindness gate, will my words increase harmony or create more division? This doesn't mean being passive or dishonest. It means speaking difficult truths with compassion rather than cruelty. You can be direct and still be kind. Gate 3, the necessity gate, do these words need to be spoken right now, by me? Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. Sometimes, the most loving action is to let someone else learn from their own mistakes without our commentary. Gate 4, the right time gate, am I speaking from wisdom or wounded emotion? If you're still caught in the fire of anger, hurt, or fear, it's probably not the right time to speak about important matters. I want to share something personal with you. Last month, my neighbor's dog was barking every night at 2 a.m. for a week straight. The old me would have either suffered in silence, building up resentment, or marched over there in anger to demand that they control their pet. Instead, I practiced the mindful pause. I sat with my irritation, my sleep deprivation, my story about inconsiderate neighbors. I realized my anger was really about feeling powerless and unheard. When I finally approached my neighbor, I was curious rather than accusatory. Hey, I've noticed Rex seems distressed at night lately. Is everything okay? I'm asking because I'm a light sleeper and I'm wondering if something is bothering him. Turns out, their elderly father had moved in recently and was getting up confused in the middle of the night, which was triggering the dog's protective instincts. We brainstormed solutions together. They got a white noise machine for their dad's room, and I got some good earplugs. Problem solved with zero conflict. Here's a simple practice you can start today. When you feel triggered by a text message, a comment, a news story, anything, try the 3-breath response. Breath 1, I notice I'm having a strong reaction. Breath 2, this feeling is temporary and valid, but it doesn't have to control my response. Breath 3, I choose to respond from my wisest self. If you're finding value in these teachings, please consider subscribing to Buddha Coha and sharing this video with someone who might need to hear it. Your support helps us continue sharing these ancient tools for modern peace. Part 5, Sacred Teachings, the Buddha's Final Words on Right Response. Before we close, I want to share with you some of the most beautiful passages from the Buddhist scriptures about right speech and mindful response. The Buddha said in the Dhammapada, "Speak only endearing speech, speech that is welcomed." Speech, when it brings no evil to others, is a pleasant thing. This doesn't mean we become doormats or avoid difficult conversations. It means we learn to speak truth in a way that opens hearts rather than closes them. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught, before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. At the first gate, ask yourself, is it true? At the second gate, ask, is it necessary? At the third gate ask, is it kind? And perhaps most beautifully, in the Majjhima Nikaya, hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is a law eternal. Think about that for a moment. Every time you choose pause over reaction, understanding over judgment, compassion over revenge, you're not just changing your own life, you're contributing to the healing of our world. When Sarah chose not to publicly humiliate Mark, she broke a cycle of workplace toxicity. When I approached my neighbor with curiosity instead of anger, we both discovered that most conflicts arise from misunderstanding, not malice. When Channa learned to pause before speaking, he found the peace that had been there all along, hidden beneath his reactivity. Part 6, Integration and Closing Inspiration. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to know that this practice of mindful pause isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming conscious. You will still get triggered. You will still react sometimes before you remember to pause. And that's perfectly human. The invitation is simply to notice when you're caught in reactivity, and gently return to the space between stimulus and response. Each time you choose to pause, you strengthen that spiritual muscle. Each time you respond from wisdom rather than wound, you heal not just yourself but the relationships around you. Remember Sarah, dealing with her work crisis? She told me recently that learning this practice has changed not just her professional life, but her relationship with her teenage daughter. Instead of immediately getting defensive when her daughter criticizes her parenting, Sarah now pauses, listens, and often finds there's wisdom in what her daughter is trying to communicate. The Buddha's teaching isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about creating connection. It's about responding to life from your highest self rather than your most wounded self. I'll leave you with this beautiful reflection from the Buddha in the Sutta Nipata. As a mother would risk her life to protect her child, her only child, even so should one cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. This includes cultivating a boundless heart toward the parts of ourselves that are quick to anger, quick to judge, quick to react. When we meet our reactivity with compassion instead of self-criticism, we naturally begin to extend that same compassion to others. If this teaching has touched something in your heart, please subscribe to Buddha Coha and hit the notification bell. Share this video with someone who might benefit from these ancient tools for modern peace. And most importantly, practice. Try the 3-breath response the next time you feel triggered. Try the 4 gates of speech before you send that email or have that difficult conversation. May you find the space between stimulus and response. May you discover your freedom to choose wisdom over reactivity. May your words and actions arise from the deepest well of your compassion. And may your practice of mindful pause contribute to the healing and awakening of our world. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Buddhist wisdom. Until next time, may you be at peace, may you be happy, and may you continue walking the path of awakened living. This is Buddha Coha, and I'll see you in the next video.